and this is Kieran and my co-host
Roken.
with the Dragonbone Tavern, episode 1. This is going to be a series. We're going to be talking about the Elder Scrolls 5, 4, and 3, in that order specifically. And to get started off, we're going to talk a little bit about what the website's looking like. Right now, it's not looking like much of anything. I've been working on getting some nice things done with it. There still is a website that is up if you go to our old web address, but that is not going to be really looked at or anything, and anything on it is going to be deleted within the next little bit as we move over to this new website, so any accounts and everything are going to be gone. And the website really doesn't work at this point, I think, because of some of the things that we've done. Right now, I've been working on getting the actual profile pages for accounts, those done, and I also got a rep system in the works, which will allow you to see how popular you are. There will be other uses for it, mostly that will deal with admins, but that's basically what's going on with that right now, and I think it's now time to move into our mod/game spotlight. Since we're going to be talking about Skyrim today, I was going to show off a little bit of some Skyrim mods. Because Skyrim is an amazing game in general. There are a lot of mods because of the way Bethesda works. It's games you can have an easy way to make their mods using the construction packs. And I don't actually have that many mods for Skyrim yet. I had a lot more for Oblivion, and personally I think the Oblivion mods were a little bit better. But there is the mod that I really want to talk about because I think it's hilarious. They have a mod, I don't particularly remember what it was called, but they have a quest about some space debris. And when you go check it out, it is actually it's the character in Portals 2, the little robot that you follow for part of it. It's kind of an amusing looking mod. I haven't personally downloaded it, but I'd say if you've played Portals, it'd be a funny thing to have. At least it's either one of the parts of the main computer in Portals, or it's the AI in Portals 2. I can't particularly remember. But it's kind of funny. It'll sit there and talk to you if you run around holding it, but it doesn't move on its own, and nor can you equip it. You just have to kind of drop it and carry it to wherever you want to go. So, got any comments on that?
That I do not.
Okay. So we're going to kind of chug along through it real fast into our main segment, which is a game review on Skyrim. Now, for those of you who have not played Skyrim, Skyrim is taking place in the continent of Skyrim, where Oblivion took place in Cyrodiil. Skyrim is just north of Cyrodiil, and it has been 300 years since the ending of Oblivion. And now the king of Skyrim has been killed by one of the Jarls, or their lords basically, killed his high king. And you start out, like in every Elder Scrolls game, you are either being taken to jail or somewhere you're imprisoned. And you start off in this cart, and you are with the Jarl of Windhelm. He is the one who actually killed the High King, Jarl Ulfric. And there are some other characters that you are also there with, and this is where you start getting some of the backstory, and you end up making your character throughout that story. It does break up a little bit of the starting cutscene, but it's a very good opener. It's a nice, easy way that it teaches you. This is where actually you get your first sight of dragons, is right when you are about to be beheaded. The dragon Alduin comes in and basically smashes the town up. You don't really know why at that point, and I haven't gotten far enough to even know if they ever explain it. You are guessing he came after you, but again, I'm not really sure. From there, you get to choose whether you go with the Imperials or the Stormcloaks, who follow Ulfric. And I personally haven't actually gone with the Imperials yet. But if you follow the Stormcloaks, you end up going to Riverwood. And when you go to Riverwood, you'll talk to some people and you can get access to a house there that one of the characters' family members that you were with in the beginning, his sister lives in Riverwood. And you can go there, but this is where you start the real first quest that you have, the main quests. You've got to go to Whiterun. And the game goes on from there. You go into Whiterun and you're told to get this Dragonstone. Once you go to get the Dragonstone, you get to learn your first word of power. When you learn that, it's called Force. And this is one that you really don't have a choice in whether you're actually going to ever use it, because they're going to force you to use it later in the game as your first shout. But right after you get back from retrieving this Dragonstone, you find that there is this first dragon that you get to fight over at the western lookout point of Whiterun. And you end up fighting this dragon, and you kill it, and this is where you unlock your first shout. And that's where you first learn you are Dragonborn or Dovahkiin. Game progresses from there. You are trying to kill Alduin. Basic premise of the game. I have not, again, finished this game, though I have gotten a lot further in it than most other Elder Scrolls game. And I was almost done with the game at one point when I lost my save, so I have played through most of the game. It is a fantastic game from storyline standpoint, and it's got a really nice, well-built world. And I like the combat system a little bit better than all the previous Elder Scrolls games. Roken, you played a little bit of this game. What can you say about how combat in that was? What did you think about it?
Combat in Elder Scrolls is very good in its own premises. It's not the standard, you swing, they swing, you swing, so back and forth. It had more of a unique combat style that let you really take an advantage if you had the ability to take an advantage. And if an enemy had an advantage over you, you could clearly see it coming and be able to make a decision on what you're going to do.
Yeah, that was one of the nice things, and not to mention you weren't stuck with doing one thing or the other. Like in the previous Elder Scrolls games, you were stuck with a sword and you had to ready your magic. You could have magic in one hand and a sword in the other. I personally liked also that this introduced dual wielding for the first time in an Elder Scrolls game, but it did have its downfall with the fact if you dual wielded, you could not block, and if you had really anything other than a shield in your other hand, you basically had to take the brunt of the damage without having any way of blocking. Though the nice thing also was the way they did their leveling system in this game, where they really didn't have you start off and pick your skills and things. They just threw you kind of into the mix of it. You get your skills and stuff based on how you played. If you played like a mage, you'd have more points in those trees and it'd be easier and your spells would do more damage. I like this a little bit better because then people can't just sit there and go through and try and get something that they've never actually worked at. And in the end of the game, they end up, just spending all their money to get stuff and they can't really use it well. This is playing off of you actually used it, you know how to do it. Now, the one thing that Skyrim has some issues with is, like most Elder Scrolls games, the AI is not perfect. Though it is manageable in this one. But still, you can get, if you have your bodyguards following you, you can get them to where they're just bumping into walls. And most of the AI, the one thing that I've never actually really seen in a game like Elder Scrolls, is the fact that you can kill 20 to 30 of them, and they're still coming. You'd expect, after you killed like 20 other guys, they're going to run. But no, they just keep coming and attacking. So that's one thing that really, really bugs me. I've also heard other people don't like the fact that the way Elder Scrolls started, because you were kind of enclosed when you came to Helgen. But that didn't really bug me all that much, because most Elder Scrolls games start off in a secluded area, so you don't really have to revisit all that much of that area. And it also keeps all of what's going on away from a big major city, so you're not scrambling trying to find a different area where the nearest big city to where you start, you can just keep going back to. There's not much I actually disliked about Skyrim. Skyrim had a nice professioning system, though it could have been a little... I would have liked if it would have been a little bit more based on how well you did. Like they have their lockpicking where you actually have to try and do something physically. Most of it was, click this. If you had the resources, it just did it. But I think that's a little bit more of a personal preference. Roken, did you do any of the professioning in the game?
Actually, I did not. I didn't get the chance to really do that much in the game. I did get to meet the Stormcloaks, but I never really did any professioning. When I played the game, I was a human and I was a vampire because I knew what both those things were, and I joined the first thing I saw because I knew nothing about the game. So sadly, no, I didn't do any of the professioning.
Which, that is another nice thing about Skyrim, is all the guilds and the combinations of characters, because you have in this one they introduced the companion, which reintroduced the werewolves that they took out in Morrowind because of the end of the Blood Moon storyline, and they bring them back in this one, which is really nice to see, because I really like having that as an option. And the vampires, I haven't seen much of them, but they're a little bit of a pain to get to usually, and I really had no desire because it kind of limits your options through the rest of the game. But another nice thing is that you can actually get a easy home really fast if you work at it right without actually having to use any of the console commands. The one thing that did bother me just a tad is the fact they dropped in this game, they took away all the guilds. save for the only one that's familiar in this one is the Dark Brotherhood. But that wasn't really one that I ever played around with in Oblivion. I did once, but it wasn't all that interesting. I haven't, and the only other guild that I have noticed, and I've just remembered about it, was the Thieves Guild. But again, not something I was really into much, though I'm thinking about relooking into the Dark Brotherhood with Skyrim. I'm a little disappointed that they got rid of the Fighters Guild and the Mages Guild. And they really didn't replace it with all that much. The Mages Guild was kind of more of the College of Winterhold. So that did bother me a little bit. I don't think if there's much else I can say about the game in its entirety that I really disliked, other than those few points that about the missing of the guilds and the one little bit about AIs, which both I could live with. The game was engaging enough, and I'd have to say the main storyline was more engaging than any other Elder Scrolls game that I have played so far. I have never played Daggerfell, and I never played Arena, the first two, but I have played Morrowind and I have played Oblivion. But generally, I got sidetracked a lot with those games. I ended up just going on and playing around with the mods, which was highly entertaining and you could spend hours doing. But you really never cared to do the main quest. It wasn't really all that interesting. I know a lot of people who did do the main quest, but the main quest is a lot more engaging, a lot more fun in Skyrim. This is, again, a personal opinion. Is there anything else that you want to add about Skyrim? Something that you liked a lot? Any of your own personal opinions about the way the game worked or anything?
Well, yeah. One thing I really did like about Skyrim is, personally, I haven't played very many of the Elder Scrolls games. And jumping right in, you don't have to know everything about the game to understand what you're trying to accomplish. The very beginning basics of what you want to be and who you want to be are easy. The interface is very user-friendly. The game, you can walk right into it and know exactly what you need to do.
Yeah, that was one thing that I have to say that is one of the nice things about most Elder Scrolls games. You can just walk into them. They give you a nice interface. And the one thing that bugs me about a few games is when, you have the characters that will talk to you and tell you, press control to crouch and get over there. Why in the world are you saying press control? And the Elder Scrolls has always done a good job of just integrating that with something that pops up in your screen when you actually need it. And they did limit you enough at the beginning not to make you feel like you were completely useless, but enough to give you quick steps into the game without actually allowing you too much freedom to wreak havoc. They don't really give you any weapons or anything until you actually choose whether you're going with the Imperials or the Stormcloaks. And then at that point, it starts moving so fast that you're not really caring. And the beginning part, when you're trying to get away, it moves incredibly fast. The beginning doesn't really slow pace. So, overall, yeah, the game is very approachable. And for someone who's not used to the Elder Scrolls, not used to the world of Tamriel, it's a very nice opening. I can say the one thing about Morrowind is Morrowind's kind of slow in the beginning. And Oblivion, there's a point where you're just sitting there waiting. And sure, there's that beginning in Skyrim, but that's more of a cutscene where you can just look around. In Oblivion, you actually have to go do some things, but most of it's just walk here, stand around for a minute, walk back somewhere else, and you're not really doing much. And that's one thing that I do think Skyrim did a lot better than the previous, is their opening really immersed you into the game, got you in fast, made you really want to keep going with the main storyline. And they didn't immediately throw all these side quests in your face, like Oblivion really kind of did. Is there anything else that you got to say?
Nothing on my end.
Okay, so final opinion, overall, Skyrim's a great game. I would suggest highly that you buy it. And
Actually, I have one more thing I could say.
What?
Now, as everyone probably already knows, Skyrim Elder Scrolls is for the PS3, the Xbox 360, and the PC. My recommendation, I'm going to say this now, no offense to any PS3 users, but I've played it on all three platforms, a little bit on each. I prefer the PC overall, but that's just because I was playing on an Alienware computer, so...
That is one thing that I do need to comment about. One of the things that I've noticed is Skyrim, though yes is supported on all these platforms, its basis for actual support and them fixing bugs and things is majority on the PC. For a while, I do not know if they have fixed this glitch but for a great amount of time in the Xbox version, it's a funny glitch to have, but I bet it gets a little annoying. All the dragons fly backwards. It's just a glitch that they hadn't fixed for a while. I don't know if it's fixed now, but the PC hasn't had any glitches like that. They've been really on top of everything. And so, yes, that is one thing I have to say. If you're going to buy it for any system, buy it for the PC. And unless your PC cannot handle it, which, honestly, it's probably a lot cheaper in the end to spend money on getting a nice PC than it is to buy a console, because eventually a console will get outdated. A PC can always get upgraded. Yes, eventually does it get pricey? Yeah, but that's maybe one upgrade every 5 years. It'll get extremely pricey, which isn't bad, considering the amount. When was the Xbox 360 released?
I'm going to go ahead and pull you back in here. We're going way off topic.
Oh no, just real quick. Do you remember?
I haven't a clue. I'm just going to say you're going way off topic.
Yeah, we are going way off topic, but
we're almost a half hour into this, and we've covered pretty much everything. You're going way off topic.
Yeah. Basic gist of the game is it's really nice. Really suggest you buy it, whatever platform you get it for. Not trying to tell you that you're a horrible person for buying any of the other consoles. But PC, personally my favorite. You've got Roken's opinion on it. That PC is a nicer way to play it. Your overall opinion of the game, I'm guessing, is the same as mine?
Roughly, yes.
Yeah, roughly. Okay, so that basically takes us out of our main segment. I don't know if these shows will end up being longer or shorter than our old ones, but right now we're running shorter. But our last segment is our game ideas, which right at this moment, I don't really have anything. Do you have anything?
I have nothing currently.
And since we literally haven't even put out our episode 0 yet, there's nothing in from you viewers. So, that basically wraps us up for this time. Hopefully our next episode runs a little bit longer, but it will be on Oblivion. I might also mesh it with adding Morrowind in, just to add some more time to these. But is there any last comments that we have on anything that we talked about today?
I have no more comments.
Okay. Website probably will be up in a couple months at latest. And you'll hear about our game that we're working on once the website gets up. And that's it. So, this is Kieran and
Broken. Have a great day.